and girls, welcome back to
Midgame Life Crisis!
I am Inconsistency.
I'm Werewolf. Guys, girls, today we're gonna talk about Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, and specifically how attention to detail in this game is monumental.
Oh yes.
And makes the game. We're gonna show examples, we're gonna watch some gameplay footage together.
Yeah.
We'll just show you these little places where the detail just makes the difference.
Yeah, we handpicked very specific clips to focus on. None of them should have any major spoilers. It's nothing that is cutscenes related, or it's mostly just raw gameplay that we focused on. We want to see how the world looks and the attention to detail while you're doing the most mundane stuff like just walking down the street or stuff like that. That stuff like that makes games immersive, and immersion is like half the battle in an RPG, uniquely historically accurate medieval open world RPG like KCD. So the game is coming out. It's one of the most highly anticipated games of 2025. It's coming out sometime during February, if I remember correctly.
Crowded month. Yeah,
very crowded month. It's gonna be one of the most highly anticipated games of the year for sure. I know we're both extremely excited about it, and we're going to show you why today. Let's get into it. The first 2 minutes, we want to show you some stuff we've noticed. The street and the geometry of the castles and the houses, it all rings true. It all rings very accurate, right? You can tell these guys spend a lot of time not just watching pictures on fucking Google Images, but rather going there physically. This is Warhorse we're talking about, a European company based in, where are they? In Prague? Right, so they have plenty of historical castles that they can go visit there from the medieval times, and they literally, you can see it. You can see this is a game that is a labor of love. You can see it from every single attention to detail in it. Let's give some examples.
Let's stop there. You see how on the right side where the candle or torch is lit?
Yeah.
You have the soot on the walls. You see it on the left where the candle.
Yeah,
every two have a torch.
Every scene where you see torch,
or somewhere that usually has a torch, you're gonna see the soot on the wall.
Or even a fire, any source of fire source.
Yeah.
You'll see soot behind it, which is, again, it's the little stuff that makes it seem more realistic.
Yeah, definitely. The shadow effect and the lighting, the reflections of the helmet, and even though it's reflective surface, you see that it has like those defects, like you would expect from a day-to-day helmet. Look at the shadows of the lines of where the hand close.
The laundry.
Yeah.
The laundry is hanging. You can see the shadows are really great here. The shadow work is really great. I don't know if it's...
It doesn't look physically accurate?
Yeah, I don't know if it's ray traced, right? I'm not sure if it's ray traced shadows, but it could be because it looks pretty good. But a lot of the shadows in this game you'd see are not very physically accurate, but it's still immersive enough. It still looks realistic enough to make it seem realistic in our heads, when we play. If you're an attention to detail nut,
like me,
you might start seeing some issues here and there if you look hard enough.
Yeah. By the way, is the motion blur annoying you too?
Oh yeah, that's something we see throughout this whole video. There's a lot of motion blur in this game. Too much. It seems very smeary. Every time you see movement, if you try to stop while he moves, it just all seems very smudgy, very out of focus. The motion blur effect is way too high. I don't know why developers do this.
I don't know if it's because we're not playing right now, because this never bothered me before. Never ever has motion blur been a thing for me, like a problem.
Yeah, but in the research we did for this, we've watched a bunch of videos and all of them had the same issue for you.
Yeah. It's the first time it bothers me. That's why I asked if it bothers you too.
Yeah, it does. It does bother me, not as much as it does you, but it does. It's very noticeable. But from experience, usually motion blur is one of the most toggled off options in modern video games. Most human beings play video games, toggle that shit off, or at least put it on low. Okay, right now it's definitely on high, and it's way too much. Let's move on to the next clip.
Yeah. So here you see how when
you can see a drunk dude coming out. You can see by his movement that is.
Look how his shadow starts large and becomes smaller the more he moves away from the light source.
You're talking about Henry, the
Henry's
main
shadow.
Yes, that's something I noticed a lot with his shadow. They play a lot with the shadows here in this game, which I appreciate.
Yeah, this drunk that can't even walk. You can see the soot again, where the candles are usually lit.
Yep.
Even if it's not lit right now.
Even when it's not lit, you can tell.
That usually this is where they light fire.
Yeah, it's not lit right now because it's daytime, obviously.
Yeah.
Now he's going to enter the pantry. Look at this.
Did you see how the door? Everything becomes like reflective and golden because now it's the yellow lights of the candle.
Yes.
But if you go back,
you can watch there is no light source on them.
yeah,
so
there is a light source behind them, but it's ambient light, so it's not as reflective.
yeah.
It's bluer light.
Yep. The door has no direct source
These are
of light.
colder colors, you know?
Yes, exactly, because there's no direct source of light on it. This, again, attention to detail, it matters, because once you open the door,
Yep.
it gets highlighted by the direct light from
The candles, the candlelight.
of the candlelight, and it reflects even on the different surfaces of the different material on the door. If it's the wood or the metal, what would you call them? Stubs?
Knobs, whatever, yeah.
Yeah, great. Looks great. There it is. Beautiful.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Beautiful.
The whole lighting scene they do with the candles.
Yeah,
is great.
whatever they did here. This is almost certainly this is ray traced. I'd be very, very surprised if this game isn't fully ray traced, because the effects are too impressive. The lighting effects, the shadow effects, even though not very accurate sometimes, are very impressive
I
visually.
was about to say, you think the guy is a vampire?
The guy sitting there?
Yeah, because his legs are not making any shadows.
Yeah, this guy is supposed to have, he has light source directly behind him, sunlight. He should be showing some sort of shadow.
The chair he's sitting on has shadows. He does not.
Yeah. But look at the shadows from the meat hanging on the wall. That looks pretty fucking cool.
It basically looks like all the shadows handled by the candle are done well, and the shadows that are coming from the ambient light outside are less.
I think that's the problem. I think two sources of light trying to compete for the scene, basically. I imagine, I'm not the developer, but I imagine it makes things a lot tougher for the developers. Have to circumvent around having two light sources competing on the same scene. So in this case, you have both the sunlight coming from the window behind this dude, and you have the actual candlelight.
Yep.
And they're both competing for the scene, so you got weird visual errors, like him not making any source of shadows.
Yep.
But the actual pantries, what do you call it?
Everything hanging to dry.
All the dead meat and animals have accurate shadows coming behind them from candlelight. Let's keep going.
If you look at the door access, you see how it's shining bright with the light. But now you're gonna see Henry's shadows move over one of them, and it stops glinting like that.
Yeah, that's what makes me believe this is ray traced. The lighting
See
effect.
how it stops?
Yes, you're basically blocking the source of light. This is what makes me believe this is almost certainly
Ray traced.
Yeah, because it's too realistic. It looks too good.
Yeah.
Look at the drying herbs and how you can see the shadow on the wall behind them. But again, this is another very complicated scene.
Yeah.
Because you have two sources of light. You have the candles and the fireplace, and you have the two windows with the daylight coming through them.
And the ceiling is not a straight surface. It's a round surface, so the shadows are also supposed to be round.
Yeah, this will lead to some visual errors that you'll probably mention in a moment when we get closer into.
No, but here it was good. The shadow from the drying rack was looking
This
good.
looks okay because you have
only one light source. Yeah.
No, you have two light sources, but they're far enough apart from each other.
Yeah.
So it doesn't affect each other. But once you get inside the dining room, you can see daylight and the candlelight competing for the scene, competing for the geometry of the scene.
Yeah.
Let's see it. And it leads to some weird errors. Here, right here. You can already see some weird inconsistencies. How the way it's lit around the window pane looks weird to me.
Look at the wall on the left. It looks like wavy.
That's because of this. It's because of the effect of the daylight trying to reflect on the wall while also having this source of light and this source of light, those candle lights. This is exactly what I mean. This is why you get these weird visual errors.
The whole geometry of the bricks there is weird.
Yes, it looks off. Okay, let's move to the next scene. Outside in the city. Alright, so we're outside in the city now.
Yeah. Look at the amount of detail in the background.
Yes.
Like you have the birds moving around that top of the building, and you have the smoke coming up of the chimney there, and you got people walking and conversations happening, and you got
rotten fruit on the ground.
Yeah.
It's also not symmetric, right? Everything is a mess. It's like in the street, it's a greedy medieval, disgusting street where most people don't shower for weeks.
Yeah, and it's muddy.
You can smell it. You can smell the scene. The detail is so thick in here. The attention to detail is so thick. You can literally smell the rotting vegetables, the smelly people moving around, dirty people walking around, all drunkards from the night of drinking.
Can you imagine when they invent that? Like when they start adding something that makes smell to your games? Like when you play
you don't need to. Look at this, how visually rich this scene is.
Yeah.
It's so amazingly visually rich. There's so much happening in here, bro.
Yeah.
It's very, what's the word? It's immersive.
It feels
It feels alive. The world feels alive because there's so much stuff happening at the same time.
Yeah, the CryEngine really does a good job with the character animation.
Yeah, it does. The reflections are amazing.
Yeah, and if you look now, you see the reflections on the left. Once it gets to a certain angle, you will see that suddenly you see how it becomes fully reflective.
You're talking about the small
the
trail,
puddles of water on the left.
the small trail of water on the left. Like, yeah.
At some point, at some angle, suddenly you see like a full reflection of the sky. This is something called critical angle in reflections, where like glass or water at a very certain angles are completely reflective, like nothing goes through. And this is like you get to that critical angle here, and this is very realistic physically.
Yeah, the reflections in this game are almost all, again, I keep repeating myself, but almost certainly ray traced because it looks too physically accurate. The reflections are really impressive in this game, to be honest.
Yeah.
From what we've seen, at least.
And the views are
Look at this. Look at this view. So much stuff happening in this scene right now. You have a running river right here. Okay?
Yeah.
You have a guy with a bag on his shoulders.
Yeah, carrying something.
You have the whole fucking
burning, the smoke.
The smoke coming from the chimneys. It's
not chimneys. There's a fire there or something.
Yeah, it's either one. No, you can see one chimney, and there's another fire source, or maybe a different chimney. I'm not sure, but yeah, you can see that as well.
That's way too much smoke for a chimney.
And you can see how farther away you can see. You can see literally the furthest parts of the city in the background. It's great. It's fucking great. Watch this all in motion. You can see people walking in the street.
Yeah, and the clouds.
Right.
The views, the static views of the background are great.
Yes, but yet you still feel the city being alive. You still feel the world being alive. Everything makes the world feel. How you can see the trees in the background move with the wind. Look
Rustling.
at this. Yes.
Leaves rustling.
Look, it's very, very subtle. Very subtle. Yeah, that's all I want to show in this scene. And the next scene, the last scene, is also very short. Something with the water again. Look at the water effects and the reflections here. Not just the reflection, the water effects. Look at them.
Yeah.
Look at the fountain.
Particle effects of the splashing water.
Yeah, yes. Look at the water splashing on the ground, on the bottom of the basin. It looks great. And now you wash your face. The effects of the water actually looks good. Look. Yeah. I like it.
Yeah.
I like the fact that you can wash yourself in this game. I know
the waves forming on the puddle are not to my liking, but whatever.
Let me see this.
I don't know.
I actually think it looks okay.
But no, look, you have like every source is making the circular waves, but you have a source that doesn't seem like there's water dropping on it.
Yeah. Well, you are definitely perceptive of those things for sure. I mean, it almost has like 2 points of impact on the water.
You only see one. You're only graphically realizing one.
Interesting. Attention to detail, man. It can be the mistakes as well, the bugs as well. But overall, man, I think this game.
That's something you can forgive.
You can forgive a lot because this game is so ambitious in what it's trying to do that there's a lot of stuff you can forgive.
Like you see those dirty holes on the wall.
Oh yeah, like it's how the buildings look very.
That's like the sewage because they didn't have running sewage. So basically, you just do it in a bucket and then you throw it out. You have like a hole in the inside that goes outside, and that's those squares. That's why you see the dirty, where the dirty water of the shit comes out there.
Yep. Yeah, they mention a bunch of times that they read a bunch of history books just to get a lot of those details
they
correct.
Have a dedicated person.
They have a historian.
This is his job, exactly.
They have a dedicated historian that this is his job, and it does help that they can literally go physically to a lot of those places and see with their own eyes. It's great. Anyways, guys, that's all we got for you today. Attention to detail in this game is a core aspect of its game design. It looks fucking great. Yes, there's some mistakes and issues here and there if you're like a nut like us, but it's nothing that breaks immersion. We hope the game is well optimized and works good.
I sure hope that, because it looks like this will be a very heavy
game. Very heavy. A huge open live world, bro. It's gonna be a heavy game. Optimization will almost certainly be an issue, knowing the first game as well, the history of the first game.
Guys, what do you think? Is attention to detail important? Is this something that really does it to you?
How important is it to you, all those small things that we just mentioned? None of those things that we mentioned are like huge gameplay aspects. They're all small-ish stuff that, in our opinion, add layers of immersion to the gameplay. Let us know below what you think. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Do you think we're high on some good stuff? Yes, we are. Okay, that's it, guys. MLC, I am Inconsistency.
I'm Werewolf.
See ya!